So I wanted to come through right quick and I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind that I've been meaning to talk about, but I haven't had a chance to. I want to talk about the Twilight Zone, the original one, not those god awful remakes, but the original Twilight Zone. Um, the Twilight Zone had a lot of symbolism in it. Okay? When you think of the word twilight, well, let's look up what the word twilight means. The word twilight, let's look up what it means. Okay? Let's see. Twilight, the definition of twilight is the light from the sky between full night and sunrise or between sunset and full night, produced by diffusion of sunlight through the atmosphere and its dust. It also says a time of twilight, how to use twilight in a sentence, etc., etc. But basically, twilight is in between, okay? In between darkness and light. That's basically what it's saying. That's how I interpret that. So the Twilight Zone was talking about different dimensions, different parallel realities that they tell us don't really exist, that we had access to at some point, we had direct access to at some point in history that has been long forgotten. But the motherfuckers at the top, they know about this. And we as black people, we definitely had direct access to that, to those dimensions, which are within us, but a lot of that shit has been closed down and shut down due to mind control and spells and all types of other shit that we've been subjected to here on this in this trap we call Earth. Now, there are two episodes of The Twilight Zone that I want to focus on. The first one was called Probe 7 Over and Out. And basically, what it was about, an astronaut, he crash lands on a strange planet that has a gravitational and an atmospheric, um, gravitational and atmospheric conditions similar to those of his own home world. But his home world has been destroyed by some form or some kind of war using weapons of mass destruction. Sound familiar, doesn't it? So he crash lands on this planet, on this strange, what they describe as a strange planet. He comes across a woman who also ends up on this planet, but she was there first. Okay? She was on the planet first. All of this is symbolic and this is all symbolism. She was on the planet first. So both of them have a language barrier between the two of them. They can't really understand each other. He's speaking English, of course, and she's speaking some kind of nonverbal dialect. And they develop a way to communicate. Her planet, she was also thrown, well, not thrown, but she was also taken away from her home planet, and she was ended up on this particular strange planet that they ended up on. I'll tell you the name of the planet when I'm done talking. But they ended up on this strange planet, okay, and her home world was destroyed due to some kind of what was it? What was it? Let me think. I'm reading it, but I can't find it. Her world was destroyed because I think it was some kind of alignment in the universe, or her sun came out of something happened to the planet where it threw it out of orbit, and it caused a natural catastrophe, basically. So her world was thrown out of orbit, and it caused some kind of natural catastrophe. And she ended up on this weird planet that they ended up on, right? So they finally found a way to communicate with each other. They finally found a way to communicate with each other. She called herself Eve, and his name was Adam Cook. He was an astronaut. And the planet that they ended up on was Earth. It was Earth. She named it Earth. And throughout that, and before he ran across her, when he was communicating with his people on his home base before their planet was destroyed, he kept referring to this world as a dark dungeon or a prison. That's all symbolic of what this planet really is. This planet is a curse. Being on this planet, let me just say this. Being on this planet is like a curse. It's like being cursed. So when I hear people say, and I'm not necessarily talking about anyone in particular, when I hear people say that this place is cursed or that place is cursed, there, if you're on this planet, you're dealing with some form of curse. Now, there are those people who can help your stay here be a little bit more balanced and harmonic. But this planet is a trap, and it keeps you trapped in an internal cycle, basically, of reincarnation. This planet is a trap. And when I think of a curse, that is what I think about. I think about a trap that you can't get out of. When I think of a curse, the symbol for a curse, in my opinion, I think of a circle that you can't get out of, like you're chasing your tail. That is what I think of when I think of a curse. And the earth is, so they say, a circle. They also say that there are 9 circles of hell. So just keep that in mind. So the planet that they ended up on was Earth, because both of their prospective home planets had been destroyed. Her planet was destroyed by a natural cataclysm that took place in outer space. His planet was destroyed because of their own, greed and their own, because of their own weapons of mass destruction. Now, here's where I'm really going with this. Now, we all know that there is a biblical story of Adam and Eve and how God put them in the Garden of Eden and all that other bullshit that's fairy tale. We all know that. But here's where I'm going with this. Were Adam and Eve really, and of course they were black, if they were real people, I'm not talking in terms of the biblical story, but could Adam and Eve have really been astronauts or space travelers that got trapped on this planet because their home worlds were destroyed? Could that really be the real motherfucking story? Could that really be the real fucking story that took place? Because, see, what I know about Hollywood and the entertainment industry, they put out little bits and pieces of truth about the history of this planet. Now, I'm not saying that the episode of the Twilight Zone was absolutely 100% accurate, but I'm just thinking of it in terms of I'm just thinking maybe could it have been? Let me just say it this way: could it have been that Adam and Eve, fuck their names. Their names weren't Adam and Eve, of course. That's just something that was, propagated by Christianity. But could Adam and Eve, or who we think are Adam and Eve, could they have been astronauts, space travelers that came to this planet? Because that is all that pharaohs are. See, people don't understand. Pharaohs of Egypt, those gods and pharaohs of Egypt, a lot of those motherfucking niggas were space travelers. And the reason that Africa is so, well, it's not even, the name of the continent is not even Africa. I'm not going to even get into what the real name of that continent really is. But the real reason, let me just say this: the real reason that Africa is so special is because Africa was the first place on this planet that was colonized by black people from outer space. That's the real motherfucking tea that don't nobody want to talk about. Okay? And let me say this too. Space, or should I make another video about that? I'll make another video about that. We'll talk about space and the universe and the omniverse and all that other stuff in another video. I'll talk about that. But pharaohs, they weren't just kings that were here on earth. They were space travelers. And they had access to non-physical dimensions. And that is how they brought the sciences here to Kemet and to Lemuria and to Atlantis and other ancient civilizations that we don't even know about. And Atlantis wasn't even named Atlantis. It was called Atlantia, actually. It wasn't called Atlantis. It was called Atlantia. I know because I was there. Let me just say that. Yeah, I know I'm a crazy gay black motherfucking guy. I know. But I was there. Pharaohs were space travelers. That's what they don't tell people. They want people to believe that pharaohs were just kings, regular kings that were here on earth. No, 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 no. They were space travelers. They were interdimensional beings who brought sciences and information and knowledge and the pyramids from non-physical dimensions or other dimensions that were non-physical. They brought all of that motherfucking information here from a non-physical place. Pharaohs were not just kings sitting on their throne counting their jewelry. They were some bad motherfucking niggas. Simple as that. See, we got the game fucked up because we're up under mind control and we don't think outside the box. Pharaohs were space travelers and interdimensional beings. That's what they were. You can look at the hieroglyphs and you can see the symbolism and the symbolic. If you can break it down with just your spiritual discerning eye, you can see that they're showing you that these were space travelers and people that were I really hate using the word space because that was created by Europeans to put us up under more mind control to make us think that space is somewhere out there. Space and the universe is all around us. There's a universe inside of us as black people that we don't tap into. But the physical universe is all around us. It's not up in the sky like they tell us. That's bullshit. And I'll talk about that in another video. So going back to the whole Adam and Eve thing in this particular episode of the Twilight Zone, are they trying to tell us that life on this planet originated from space travelers? That's why I brought up the pharaohs. They ended up on this planet because something happened. There was some kind of mass destruction that took place on their own planets. So they ended up on a new planet and they brought all that motherfucking shit here, even the violence. Now let's go to another episode of the Twilight Zone that I found very interesting because when you connect the dots, you begin to see the pattern and you begin to see what they're trying to tell us. If you're paying attention with your spiritual eye, of course. Okay. In this particular episode, it's called Third from the Sun. Okay. Now, in this particular episode, these people are on a world that is getting ready to be destroyed, third from the sun. So, Earth, right? Third from the sun. Um, there's a scientist who works at a military base who's been conducting H bomb preparation for imminent nuclear war. Now remember remember what I told you all in some prior videos, that there have been numerous nuclear wars that have taken place throughout the fucking universe or omniverse on different physical fucking worlds, including this one. People wonder why our world is so polluted and so corroded. They're not going to tell us that there have been multiple nuclear wars because of different civilizations that have lived on this planet, or at the hands of different civilizations that have lived on this planet. This is why our food supply is so affected. This is why our water supply is so affected. This is why people are getting cancer and stuff like that. But people are not paying attention. They're only looking at it from, well, they're putting all the chemicals in the food. There's what is it, chemtrails and yada yada yada. No, 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 no. You gotta look beyond that motherfucking shit. You gotta look beyond that. Chemtrails and all the shit that people are talking about, that is not, or at least that's not the only thing that's affecting the food and the mind and the spirit of people on this planet. What's affecting us is the radiation, or what do you call it? The radioactivity, or whatever. What do they call it? Radiation shit. The radiation that has been on this planet for many motherfucking years, and not to mention they do a lot of fucking nuclear testing, on this planet. Here's a channel that just came through. One of them, see, the reason that, what's that area 51? There you go with that 5 plus 1, which is 6. There you go. Area 51, people keep talking about that that's where aliens are. That's not the case. Or at least let's say that's not the only case. Area 51 has some form of portal there, number one. There's some kind of interdimensional portal that's there. And see, I can tell that this is a channel because I get a little choked up. There's some kind of interdimensional, I had to drink some water. There's some kind of interdimensional portal there. That's number one. Number two, Area 51 was the location of a major nuclear battle, or a major war with weapons of mass destruction eons ago. And it created some form, how can I put this? It created some form of a, how can I put it? I can't think of the words, but it's right there on the tip of my tongue. It created some form of mutation there. Let me say that. Some form of mutation. That is really what happened at Area 51. There was some form of major nuclear war that took place there, or with some form of some form of weapon of mass destruction that took place there. And there are interdimensional portals and gateways that are surrounding Area 51. That is what happened. So remember what I told you all about nuclear wars and how there have been numerous wars on this planet fought with weapons of mass destruction by different civilizations that we've never even heard of. And that is why the water is polluted. That is why the air is polluted. That is why our food is polluted. Okay? So we have to look beyond what the, we got to look beyond what the distractions are with the chemtrails and all that. Those are all distractions. There's probably nothing in them fucking planes no goddamn way but water. They probably only do that to keep people up under fucking mind control because they don't want people to know the real reason that this planet is so motherfucking polluted. American Horror Story Season 8, they were telling a story and a lot of people missed it. Everybody was so busy trying to give a synopsis of the damn fucking storyline, but they were missing the symbology. American Horror Story Season 8 gave out a lot of symbology, and a lot of people missed it. Okay? Now put that to the side for a minute. Let me get back to this episode of The Twilight Zone. So on this planet, they were getting ready to have a motherfucking nuclear war. Okay, Earth. This. Third from the sun. That's the name. That's the name of the. That's the name of the title. Third from the sun. They were getting ready to have this massive nuclear war on this planet. So the people on that planet, or a select few of people on that planet, realized that they had to leave before the nuclear war took place. Okay? So they all leave the planet. Well, the select few leave the planet, and they head towards another planet. And as they're on a spaceship going into outer space. And as they head towards this other planet, they said, "We don't know much about this planet, but the only thing we know is that it's third from the sun." They were talking about Earth once again. So I tricked y'all a little bit. The planet they were actually going to was Earth. So my point is this. This is my point. Earth is not the origins of life. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. Earth is not the origins of life, especially not for black people. We have cosmic origins. So this is yet another symbolism or symbol. Of course, they used white actors, but what they're really telling us is that black people, we didn't come from this planet. We came from somewhere else, and we brought technology here. So, are what they really trying to tell us? Let me just put it in this way, in these terms. So, are what they really trying to tell us is that we came from worlds where there were nuclear wars that destroyed those planets, and we had to leave, and we had to come to Earth. Now there are two episodes of The Twilight Zone that practically deal with this: Probe, Seven, Over and Out, and Third from the Sun. And they're telling you a story. They're telling a story, but you have to be able to see it. I'm just breaking it down and decoding what they're telling you. You see, and all these stories that they're telling us, they put them in religious form, so people won't really understand, or people won't really get what they're trying to say. So what do? They water it down, and they say, "Oh, God put Adam and Eve in some garden over there in Mesopotamia, just to keep you up under the fucking mind control." But in reality, there was no God. Well, the black man and the black woman, but there was no God in the context of the Bible that put people on this motherfucking planet. People traveled to this planet on spaceships because they had destroyed their original home planet with weapons of mass destruction. And when I think about the planet Mars, symbolically, I mean, this shit just gets so fucking interesting. Mars resonates with the god of war, Ares, in Greek mythology. Okay? And I guess you can say in Egyptian mythology, Reru or Riru or Rerun, I can't think of the name, but I think Riru, that's another god of war. Okay? So the planet Mars resonates with the god of war. So when you look at Mars, for example, when you look at the physical planet Mars, it looks like there was some kind of catastrophe that was man made that took place on Mars. See, that's the tea that ain't nobody telling. They're sending probes and all that bullshit to Mars if they're really doing that, but let's say they are. They're sending all these probes and shit to Mars, and what they're not telling people is that they're finding that there was some kind of war. I looked at a documentary one time where they were saying that there was a nuclear war on Mars using weapons so far beyond weaponry and technology so far beyond ours that we couldn't comprehend it. And if you look at Mars and you look at the planet, it looks like it was a war zone. Mars is really the only planet that they say can really that could have sustained life at one time. But what if all of these planets, with the exception of maybe Pluto and maybe the outer, what if the other, well, Pluto and the outer planets in more colder regions of space? What if Mercury, Venus, and Mars? What if those planets supported life at one time? Because there are some people that say that at one time Venus was a tropical planet. And see, what I'm beginning to understand is that a lot of these stories about cataclysms, natural or unnatural, when I say unnatural, I mean at the hands of mankind. What I'm beginning to understand is what if these stories happened on other worlds? What if these, like for example, the story of Atlantis? What if Atlantis happened? What if that was on another planet? And then the story got transferred to this planet. You feel what I'm saying? So, what are they really trying to tell us with these stories in the Twilight Zone? Because I don't think I've ever heard anyone really examine or decode the Twilight Zone. And I like the original one that came on back in the 1950s and 60s. That original one with Rod Serling, that's my motherfucking dog. I liked him. He also did the Night Gallery. He was just the host, of course. Excuse me, my allergies are bothering me a little bit. But they were really trying to tell a story. But were people paying attention about these different dimensions that are all around us and these parallel realities and universes? And a lot of these realities that are within us as Black people, because that's about us. That's all about us and our subconscious mind and everything that encompasses that. So, Adam and Eve, the first two people on this planet, were they really just space travelers and interdimensional beings who ended up on this planet because their home worlds were destroyed? See, the game that the elites play is that they trick us into believing that there's nothing out there. We're all alone. We're all isolated. When you die, that's it. No wonder this world is so fucking depressed. When you feel as though that you're isolated and alone, you have no one to turn to but institutionalized religion and institutionalized government way of life and thinking. Especially if your mind is not strong enough to think outside the box and to expand your own consciousness. So it makes perfect sense why this world is so riddled in misery. And just like that astronaut said in Probe 7 Over and Out, he said it. He said that this planet was a prison and a dungeon. And that is symbolism and symbolic of what this place really is. This place is a curse. It's a curse. It's not just one place on the planet that's a curse. If you're on this planet, you're dealing with some form of curse. Adam and Eve, were they space travelers? And did they end up on this planet because their home world was destroyed? Pharaohs were interdimensional beings and space travelers who brought technology, sciences, and knowledge from non physical dimensions and worlds. Nuclear wars have taken place all over this motherfucking galaxy. And Earth has been basically the fallout motherfucking shelter. That's the untold motherfucking story that ain't nobody talking about. And they show it to us in these TV shows all the time, but we don't pay attention to it because we're too busy, and I'm talking to black people. I don't give a fuck about nobody else. You know, I'm talking to black people. We're too busy trapped in religion and trapped in debating about fucking religion and trapped into debating about voodoo and Wicca and paganism and dark magic and all that other bullshit. But the real magic is inside of your motherfucking mind. That's where the real motherfucking magic is. See, I don't need an altar or a candle. I use those things, but I don't need an altar or a candle to do what I need to do. Because, when I put all of the pieces of the puzzle together, my mind is the only motherfucking thing that I need. That is what I'm beginning to really understand and realize. My mind can do whatever the fuck I want it to do, and so can yours. And I just wanted to say that. I ain't trying to preach to nobody and no shit like that, but I'm just saying, you know. But those episodes, Third from the Sun of the Twilight Zone and Probe Over and Out, check them out. They're very interesting, and maybe other people may have some other insight into it. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own perspective, but from what I'm seeing, they're telling us that life did not originate on this planet, and that there were other planets that had life on them, but they were destroyed by mankind and our weapons of mass destruction. So we ended up on Earth as a second chance. But as you can see, we're doing the exact same thing on this planet that we did on others. But all of this shit is matrix, all of this shit is matrix made, all of it is a matrix. The physical universe, the planets, that's all fucking a matrix. So it is what it is. It's all a matrix. It's all created by, spiritual, well, not spiritual, but y'all know what I'm talking about. It's all a trap. It's all a trap. But anyway, that's all I really have to say. I hope you enjoyed the video, and that's about it. All right.